Think your family's Christmas dinner is excessive? Royal Christmas feasts made your spread look like a snack. Victorian royal Christmas celebrations lasted 12 days, featured dozens of courses per meal, and required armies of servants working around the clock. The meals were elaborate displays of wealth, power, and tradition, designed to impress guests and demonstrate royal magnificence. Queen Victoria transformed British Christmas traditions, popularizing the Christmas tree, crackers, and elaborate gift-giving. Her German heritage influenced everything from decorations to dishes. The royal kitchens produced feasts that fed hundreds while maintaining exacting standards for every plate. Let's explore how Victorian royalty celebrated Christmas at the dinner table. The 12 Days of Christmas. Victorian royals didn't celebrate Christmas for one day. The festivities ran from Christmas Eve through Twelfth Night on January 6th, with feasting throughout. Each day featured multiple elaborate meals. Breakfast, luncheon, afternoon tea, dinner, and late supper all arrived with appropriate ceremony and abundant food. The royal household consumed staggering quantities during this period. Christmas Day itself was the centerpiece, but the days following maintained high standards. Boxing Day featured substantial feasting for servants and tenants. New Year's brought additional celebrations. Twelfth Night concluded the season with particularly elaborate festivities. The continuity of feasting created logistical nightmares. Royal kitchens operated non-stop for nearly 2 weeks, preparing fresh courses for each meal while managing leftovers and planning ahead. The coordination required was immense. Guests arrived at various points during the 12 days. Some stayed the entire period, others visited for specific days. The royal household adjusted numbers daily while maintaining consistency in quality and presentation. The German tradition of celebrating from Christmas Eve through Twelfth Night came from Prince Albert. Queen Victoria embraced these extended celebrations, making them standard for the British royal family. The tradition spread to upper-class households attempting to emulate royal practices. Christmas Eve dinner. Christmas Eve dinner at court set the tone for the following days. The meal was substantial, though slightly less elaborate than Christmas Day itself. Victoria's German heritage meant Christmas Eve held special significance. German tradition emphasized Christmas Eve over Christmas Day. The royal household balanced English and German customs, creating hybrid celebrations. The menu typically featured fish as the main course, following Catholic tradition that predated the Reformation. Salmon, turret, and other expensive fish appeared prepared in multiple styles. Oysters remained popular Christmas Eve dishes throughout the Victorian era. Side dishes numbered in the dozens. Vegetables prepared in elaborate sauces, potatoes in various forms, bread offerings ranging from simple rolls to decorative creations. The presentation mattered as much as taste. Desserts included traditional English Christmas pudding alongside German specialties. Stollen, Lebkuchen, and marzipan treats appeared on the Christmas Eve table, introducing German Christmas foods to the British court. The Christmas tree was revealed on Christmas Eve, following German tradition. After dinner, the royal family gathered around the tree for gift exchange. This German custom scandalized traditional English observers initially, but became beloved tradition. The evening ended with caroling and religious observance. The feast prepared the household for the extensive celebrations beginning the next morning. Christmas Day breakfast. Christmas morning began with elaborate breakfast that would qualify as a feast in most households. The breakfast table featured traditional English fare elevated to royal standards, multiple types of eggs, scrambled with cream, coddled, poached, fried. Bacon from royal estates, sausages made to specific recipes, kidneys, kippers, and cold meats. Porridge appeared but prepared with cream and served with preserves and honey. Toast accompanied by multiple jam varieties, all made from fruit grown in royal gardens and hothouses. Christmas breakfast included treats absent from ordinary meals, special breads and pastries, German Christmas cakes, rich butter from royal dairies. Hot chocolate appeared alongside coffee and tea. The meal was less formal than later meals, but still maintained standards. Servants attended, plates were changed between courses, and proper etiquette applied even at breakfast. Children joined the adults for Christmas breakfast, a departure from usual practice where children ate separately. This concession to the holiday allowed family gathering before the day's more formal events. The breakfast prepared everyone for a long day. No one would eat again until the substantial Christmas luncheon hours later. The morning meal needed to sustain through gift opening, church services, and other activities. Christmas luncheon. Christmas luncheon at the Victorian court was the first major feast of the day. Served around 2 o'clock, it featured elaborate courses and impressive presentations. The meal began with soups, typically multiple options, including traditional British soups and German preparations. Clear consommes, rich bisques, and substantial meat soups all appeared. Fish courses followed. The Christmas luncheon fish was substantial. Whole salmon, elaborate seafood platters, fish prepared in rich sauces. The presentation was theatrical, with garnishes and decorations making each platter a centerpiece. The main courses arrived on massive platters. Roast beef held place of honor as traditional English Christmas fare. The beef came from royal estates, selected months in advance and aged properly. Carving the Christmas roast was ceremonial, performed with appropriate dignity. Additional meats accompanied the beef. Roast goose, turkey, game birds, and pork all appeared. The variety demonstrated abundance and gave guests options. Each meat arrived with specific traditional accompaniments. Side dishes filled the table. Roasted root vegetables, elaborate potato preparations, Brussels sprouts with chestnuts, creamed onions, multiple bread offerings. The vegetables came from royal gardens where possible, supplemented by purchases from approved suppliers. Yorkshire pudding, bread sauce, and other traditional accompaniments appeared in abundance. The royal kitchens prepared everything to exacting standards, ensuring consistency across all courses. Desserts were plentiful. Christmas pudding flamed, with brandy made dramatic presentation. Mince pies appeared in quantities that seem absurd. Dozens of individual pies arranged on platters. German Christmas cakes, trifles, jellies, and various sweet offerings completed the meal. The entire luncheon could last several hours. Courses arrived in succession, allowing time for conversation between removals. The meal demonstrated royal hospitality and abundance. If you're still here after learning about Royal Christmas Luncheon, subscribe for more historical feast details. Afternoon tea. Even on Christmas Day, afternoon tea maintained its position as essential royal ritual. Served precisely at 5 o'clock, tea provided sustenance between luncheon and the evening's Christmas dinner. The Christmas afternoon tea was more elaborate than ordinary days. The standard sandwiches and cakes were joined by seasonal specialties. German Christmas cookies appeared in quantity, Lebkuchen, Spritz cookies, and various spiced biscuits. These were prepared weeks in advance and stored properly to ensure availability throughout the Christmas season. Stollen sliced thin was served with butter. This German Christmas bread was dense with fruit and nuts, providing rich flavor appropriate to the season. Mince pies reappeared at tea, smaller versions than those served at luncheon. The tradition of eating one mince pie on each of the 12 days supposedly brought good luck for the coming year. Christmas cake, the rich fruit cake that had been prepared months earlier and fed regularly with brandy, was sliced and offered. The cake's dark richness paired with tea perfectly. Sandwiches featured Christmas-appropriate fillings. Turkey from luncheon appeared in sandwiches with cranberry, beef with horseradish, salmon with cucumber. The sandwiches were delicate, crusts removed, cut into appropriate shapes. Tea itself came in several varieties. The royal household maintained extensive tea collections. Christmas tea service used the finest china, with seasonal decorations incorporated into the presentation. Christmas dinner. Christmas dinner was the day's grandest meal. Served at 8:30, it represented the culmination of Christmas Day feasting. The meal began with multiple soup options, different from those served at luncheon. The soups were rich and substantial, preparing guests for the extensive meal ahead. Fish courses featured the most elaborate preparations. Lobster, oysters, and expensive fish appeared in complex dishes requiring hours of kitchen work. The sauces were intricate, the presentations spectacular. The main courses outdid luncheon's abundance. Multiple roasted meats arrived simultaneously: beef, pork, game, birds, venison when available. Each meat was perfectly prepared, carved ceremonially, and served with traditional accompaniments. Game featured heavily at Christmas dinner. Pheasant, partridge, and grouse from royal estates appeared roasted or in elaborate preparations. The seasonal availability of game made it particularly appropriate for Christmas feasting. Turkey had not yet become the dominant Christmas bird during early Victorian times, but gained popularity through the era. By late Victorian period, turkey appeared alongside traditional goose and other birds. The side dishes were works of art. Vegetables carved into decorative shapes, potatoes prepared in multiple styles, elaborate bread sculptures. The presentation aimed to impress as much as the taste. Savory courses were followed by sweet courses. Multiple desserts arrived at once: flaming Christmas puddings, elaborate trifles, jellies molded into festive shapes, towers of mince pies, German Christmas cakes. Fruit appeared fresh and preserved. Hothouses provided grapes, peaches, and other fruits impossible to grow in English December. The exotic fruit demonstrated wealth and the royal household's resources. Nuts, dried fruits, and candied offerings completed the meal. These were consumed with port and other after-dinner drinks, extending the meal even further. The entire dinner could last 4 hours or more. Each course received appropriate time and attention. Conversation flowed between removals, and the meal served social functions beyond mere eating. Late supper. The day wasn't finished after dinner ended near midnight. A late supper appeared for those still awake, typically around 11 or later. The supper was lighter than dinner, but substantial by normal standards. Cold meats from earlier meals, bread and cheese, simple cakes and biscuits. The food provided options for anyone hungry after the day's exertions. Hot drinks accompanied supper: cocoa, mulled wine, punch. The warming beverages were appropriate for the late hour and cold season. This late meal reflected the extended nature of royal Christmas celebrations. The day's activities, feasting, gift-giving, games, music, continued late into the night. Supper sustained participants through the final hours. Servants who had worked all day preparing and serving the earlier meals were responsible for this final offering. The demands on kitchen and service staff during Christmas were extraordinary. Traditional dishes. Certain dishes appeared at every royal Victorian Christmas, representing tradition and continuity. Christmas pudding was essential. The royal kitchens prepared multiple puddings weeks or months in advance. The puddings were heavy with fruit, nuts, and brandy. They were wrapped and stored, improving with age. Serving the pudding was ceremonial. The pudding was brought flaming into the darkened dining room, brandy blazing on top. The dramatic presentation delighted children and adults alike. Mince pies appeared at every Christmas meal. The pies were smaller than modern versions, individual-sized treats filled with spiced fruit mixture. They contained no meat by Victorian times, despite the name. Roast beef represented English tradition. The finest beef from royal estates was reserved for Christmas. The joint was enormous, carved at table with appropriate ceremony. Roast goose remained traditional, though turkey increasingly competed for dominance. The goose was served with applesauce and traditional accompaniments. Game birds of all types appeared. The royal estates provided pheasant, partridge, grouse, and other game. These were roasted, served in elaborate preparations, or made into pies. German Christmas foods appeared throughout the meals. Stollen, Lebkuchen, and marzipan treats represented Prince Albert's influence on royal Christmas traditions. These foods were initially exotic, but became beloved parts of British royal Christmas. The Royal Kitchens at Christmas. The royal kitchens operated at maximum capacity throughout the Christmas season. The demands were extraordinary. Multiple kitchens worked simultaneously. The main kitchen handled the elaborate centerpiece dishes. Subsidiary kitchens managed side dishes, desserts, and specific preparations. The pastry kitchen produced breads, pies, and desserts exclusively. Staff numbers swelled for Christmas. Additional cooks, kitchen maids, and support staff were hired temporarily. The permanent kitchen staff worked exhausting hours, managing the constant meal. Production. Planning began months in advance. Orders for special ingredients went out in autumn. Puddings were made in November. Fruitcakes were baked and fed with brandy for weeks before Christmas. Coordination was essential. Each meal required dozens of dishes arriving simultaneously, all at proper temperature and perfect presentation. The timing had to be exact across multiple kitchens. The head chef held enormous responsibility. He planned menus, supervised preparation, ensured quality control, and managed the kitchen staff. His reputation depended on flawless Christmas meals. Ice houses provided some refrigeration for storing prepared items, but most dishes were made fresh daily. The kitchens ran continuously, with different teams working different hours to maintain production. Waste was substantial despite careful planning. Food left uneaten at royal meals was distributed to servants, then to local poor. Still, the quantities prepared exceeded what could be consumed, and spoilage was inevitable. Service and presentation. Serving royal Christmas meals required precision and ceremony. The service was as important as the food itself. Footmen carried dishes from kitchens to dining rooms in precise choreography. Multiple footmen moved simultaneously, each carrying specific dishes to specific places. The coordination prevented collisions and ensured hot food arrived hot. The table settings were elaborate. The finest china, crystal, and silver appeared for Christmas meals. Each place setting included multiple forks, knives, and spoons for different courses. Carving happened at table for major roasts. A designated carver, often the senior male royal or a trusted servant, carved the beef, goose, or other main dishes ceremonially. The carving skill demonstrated competence. Wine service followed strict protocols. Different wines accompanied different courses. The wine steward ensured appropriate pairings and proper serving temperatures. Plates were changed between courses. Used plates disappeared immediately, replaced with fresh ones for the next course. The constant plate changing required substantial china supplies and created dishwashing demands. The dining room was decorated elaborately. Greenery, candles, and seasonal decorations created festive atmosphere. The table itself became part of the Christmas display. Music sometimes accompanied meals. Musicians played during courses, providing entertainment without disrupting conversation. The music added to the festive atmosphere. Gifts and food. Christmas gifts at the Victorian royal court often involved food. Edible gifts were highly valued and carefully selected. The Queen gave presents to household members, often including preserved fruits, candies, or other treats from the royal kitchens. These gifts demonstrated thoughtfulness while being practical. Guests brought food gifts to their hosts. Preserved delicacies, exotic fruits, special wines, or expensive spirits were appropriate offerings. The gifts contributed to the Christmas feasting. Tenants on royal estates received Christmas food gifts. Beef, bread, and other staples were distributed to demonstrate royal generosity and maintain traditional obligations. Charitable food gifts went to local poor. The royal household prepared baskets of food for distribution. This Christmas charity was expected of royalty and performed with appropriate ceremony. The exchange of food gifts meant the royal household received numerous edible offerings. These supplemented the planned Christmas meals or were redistributed as appropriate. Royal Victorian Christmas dining was excessive, elaborate, and exhausting. 12 days of continuous feasting required massive kitchen operations, armies of servants, and bottomless budgets. The traditions Queen Victoria established influenced British Christmas celebrations for generations. The German customs she introduced became standard British practice. The emphasis on abundance, family, gathering, and elaborate meals shaped how the middle class celebrated Christmas. So, which royal Christmas tradition would you most want to experience? Let me know in the comments and don't forget to subscribe.